down, yelling out money, anything. Ayy, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm get to the back. Ayy, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast. Ayy, ayy, let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss. Ayy.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by Revenova, the official TMS provider for the Freight Coach. You guys, I've been a broker for a long time, and the tools that are at your disposal with Revenova help you eliminate bouncing between systems, which improves your accuracy when you are managing multiple tasks throughout your workday. Plus, it's built into the Salesforce cloud, so your CRM is fully integrated with your TMS, eliminating yet another silo. In today's day and age, you are definitely concerned about the safety of your data. With Revenova, it's fully protected. They have cutting-edge security that keeps your information safe so you can focus on what matters most, and that's growing your business. Speaking of growing your business, with Rate and Lane IQ, you get real-time pricing and route recommendations, helping you optimize costs and improve operational efficiencies, which ultimately helps you make smarter decisions. If you are like me and have recurring shipments from non-EDI customers, they have intuitive cloning features that let you easily replicate previous shipments, saving both shipper and carrier rates with just a few taps. If you are ready to learn more, visit www.revenova.com to request a demo. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Monday, everybody. I got a very special guest, and I'm going to bring her up here in a second. But my team always wants me to say this at the beginning of the episode as well as the end. If you get value in what you hear today and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling really ambitious after this one, rank the show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you saw value in it, that's how your network's going to see value in it as well. All right, you guys, today, probably the second hottest topic that's going on in the industry right now, AI, technology. Where is everything? But most importantly, I think it's very smart to look at how do you start with it in those small and digestible bites? Because I feel like with a lot of stuff that comes in to anything with up and coming technologies, people go too far too soon with it, or they don't go at all with it. And we're going to talk about the realities of AI, how you can use it to grow your organizations at all. And I have my friend Danielle with Revenova on the show today. So Danielle, thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Hi, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
No, I am too. I think that this topic is, it's over talked about, but not talked about enough in the right context, because I feel like with automation in general, everybody, there's this, I think there's two camps. There's a false sense of this is going to do everything for me. And then there's the complete pessimistic, this is just a fad, this is just garbage and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to stay somewhat in the middle. I am probably one of the biggest skeptics of AI, because I want to stay grounded in reality of this is not going to do everything for you. It's not a one-click button. Everything is done, especially in trucking, in the logistics realm.
Yeah.
But then there are some amazing use cases where there is an easy button and it will just do all the things. And it can be applied across the board, but we have to be very careful.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, right? Like I look at it. So I'm taking it from the standpoint that, as somebody who's growing and scaling an operation, right? Like we've been in business now for 3 years. We had a complete cold start, right? Like 0 customers, nothing. We started from scratch. And, the reality is when you're bootstrapping a business, it's very challenging to get traction in that business. And then you reach a point where you have freight, you have customers, but then like you need to hire, you start to see those operational inefficiencies really start to rear their ugly face. And that's one place we are. Like I actually just demoed Artemis last week with your guys' team, because that we've reached a spot where we have an operational bottleneck where we're able to move the freight that we have right now at a high level. But once other things start to happen, like one of us can't be selling, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of those little things and you can't ever take your foot off the gas. And I think that's what really starts to block a lot of people in businesses is they stop selling because they want to service their current customers, which rightfully so. You worked really hard to get them, but then you're sitting there and you're like, that mountain just keeps on getting bigger and bigger in front of you because you're like, how do I continue to operate and grow? And then you throw hiring people in on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Artemis, Revenova's AI agent, we've personified him and given him a name. He is Artemis. I think we've done an excellent job at applying AI in the places where it makes the most sense. I really struggle with, you mentioned customer service. I really struggle with the idea that if I'm a broker, shipper, I have landed a brand new customer. And I have talked to them. I've nurtured that account for months, maybe weeks, maybe years. Now that I've landed them, I'm going to push them off on the AI bot to talk to them every time they call, every time they email. And so with Artemis, we haven't done that, but we've taken out the other pieces that you mentioned, the operational, the load building, the check calls, the, hey, I need documents, Mr. Driver. You haven't sent them to us yet. So being able to pull in those more tedious tasks that don't necessarily require the relationship, our industry is based on relationships. I never want that to go away, ever, in the transportation industry. But being able to apply AI for load building. I know a lot of freight brokers, I've heard from many of them that the requests for quotes come into emails all day long. How many of those can one person realistically get to? Or how many of those are falling away? And that's where we can apply Artemis. Emails come in, they go straight to Artemis. Artemis builds the loads, begins to generate those quotes. We can send them back to the customer or prospect. And then all of that's automated rather than a constant, I'm on the phone with the customer. Now I have to go do this. Now someone else is calling.
Yeah. No, that's one place where like we have like literally found ourselves, Danielle, right? Like we are like this perfect use case scenario because we want to automate, but like I want to, because like as a broker, and I've said this for years, like 90% of my day should be automated, right? Like I shouldn't be manually building loads. I shouldn't be doing a lot of stuff that comes along with it. But the 10% that should never be automated from my standpoint is the carrier experience and the customer experience. I want them to always know that they're talking to a real person and a real person is standing up. And, there's a bunch of schools of thoughts, but like, I'm not here to sell anybody anything other than like how I am going to be doing something for the next 10 years, right? Like regardless of what advancements happen in AI, I want to personalize that experience. And I feel like at some point in time, that will become a competitive advantage. It's going to be those individuals that worked in a pre-AI market where how to leverage that human-to-human interaction. And, there's going to be people out there that are not going to want to be a part of that, right? They're going to be like, no, we want to automate everything. We're fine. We're cool with that. But I think in time, it's going to revert back to people like, is this an actual human being here? Because it's just going to be that inevitable frustration that's going to, I feel like, bubble over.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And I'm one of the first people that if I call into like a customer support and it gives me the menu, I'm just zero the whole time until I can get to a human. And there's so many not use cases. There have been so many stories and even studies, publications done, not necessarily in the trucking industry, but medical, other technologies where they have applied AI in that customer service space, and it just hasn't worked. Customers didn't like it. I've seen many social media posts about carriers calling in to the broker or shipper or whomever, and they get an AI and they don't like it either. And so I feel like on the broker side, on the shipper side, if someone like a truck driver is calling you, they really need you. They're not just calling to say, hey, here's where my truck is, because we already have all of that automated. And if I'm calling someone directly, I want to talk to someone directly.
No, I think that's very fair, right? And I feel like there are a lot of people who are at that point, right? So like, let's talk about people who are like, everybody's going to be implementing some form of AI here. I think more people are going to be shocked to realize that they've been using it for a long time now. It just hasn't been called that. But when you're working with your customers, Danielle, and when you're working with other logistics companies or trucking companies out there, what is like kind of been the consensus of like, this is where we want you guys to start implementing it inside of your operations?
Yeah. Before we can even begin to load building is pretty easy. We don't necessarily have to have clean data in the existing like TMS or database to implement AI in the load building. But when it comes to quoting, tracking, really anything past the load building, you have to have clean data. And that part it can be very tricky. If you've worked at a brokerage before or a shipper, the data isn't always the greatest. So just being able to clean some of that out using the AI, there are always some outliers that need to be considered exceptions, especially when we talk about like AI and quoting. I guess our biggest request and the biggest complaint that where AI can be implemented and the reasons for it would be, like I said, the load building and then just those tracking updates or document updates.
When you say clean data, Danielle, what do you mean by that, right? Because I feel like a lot of people are going to hear that and they'll be like, oh, we have data inside of our company. Our data is great, right? I feel like everybody's going to be like, oh, our data is fine. We're good. Can you define like, what is the definition of like, what is clean data and like, what is kind of everything else?
Yeah, I think when it comes to like at the account level, customers, carriers, shippers, they can have so many duplicates that it's difficult for AI to apply where it needs to go. And so an example, if you have a duplicate shipper or customer in your TMS and two different sales agents, for whatever reason, have been building loads and running loads under each, I need to consolidate all of that before I apply AI to begin building loads and even automating quotes for that customer. So that's one. And then the other is like notes on customer accounts, any tracking updates, tracking notes. There's so many nuances in our industry. Being able to pull that and read it with AI, it's not as simple as the driver was supposed to be here at 10:30 and he showed up at 11. Sometimes it's not so simple. So just duplicate accounts, definitely one of the biggest issues. Thankfully, because Revenova is built on the Salesforce platform, we do have duplicate matching. So that's very easy to clean up if it even happens in the first place. But other databases, not so efficient or easy to clean those up.
No, for sure. And so do you think like a lot of it is like internal communications are being like acronym based, right? Like,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that like a big thing too? Whereas it's like, if they're speaking in acronyms internally, Artemis or AI isn't going to be able to pick that up and that's going to cause a workflow bottleneck.
Yeah. I mean, even with Artemis, something as simple as LTL, like we've built in the model what LTL is and what we need to do with this. And that's one example out of a million. It's funny. I I don't know if I should say this, but I think it's funny, but like using the term reefer, we all know what that means. But if I put into Chat GPT, like give me a definition of reefer, it's not going to be a refrigerated truck or refrigerated freight.
No, it's, it's very true. Right. And I think like, that's why when you're going out, at least for us, inside of our organization, and when we're building this out and we're looking to have, AI and everything and a lot of tech automated before we grow and scale is like Angelo, who's my business partner, him and I are like, hey, let's do this now when it's just the two of us as we're growing, because we feel like it'd be a lot easier for us to work this through now and then have it ready for when we start hiring and scaling. Because I don't look at this as this is going to be a way for us to not hire people. On the contrary, I hope I have 10,000 employees one day and they're all matched up with top tier technology, because I'll say this again for the 80,000th time on this show, my people will never have cap commissions. They will be able to make as much money as they possibly want to make out there, but they're going to be paired with the right tech to amplify their outputs, right? And that's the way that I will always view technology inside of this is like, I'm only one individual. I'm like, how can I break the tech in the sense of like, how much freight can I do as one person in a day? And that's what I want to see. And I want to iron out all of this stuff before we're at like critical mass inside of our organization. And we're just so at, wit's end with everything. We're just like throwing, essentially duct tape on everything to keep the water from caving in.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've continually said about AI, especially in the freight brokerage place. I don't think it's here to replace brokers. I don't think that will ever happen. Again, because our industry is truly built on relationships and that human to human contact and communication, AI is not going to replace that. AI can enable our freight brokers, customer track or carrier tracking teams, sales agents to do more work and make their jobs easier. But replacing the brokers, replacing anyone in the office, I don't want to see that happen.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, right? Like, I don't want anybody to lose their job over anything, but I look at it as it's going to be a straight up competitive advantage here.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, right? Like I view what we're doing is like, we're essentially, we're a hospitality company that just happens to move freight at the end of the day, because like, I got to keep my customers happy, my carriers happy, shippers, receivers, whoever is not associated with that transaction. And I feel like this is where AI operationally is going to help us really level up our game out there. Because when you're, say you're working with one shipper out there and you're going to 7 different receivers, your shipper is your customer, you're going to 7 different receivers. All 7 receivers could have different requirements, right? Yep. How are you as a solo operator or a startup going to remember all of that stuff, right? It's taxing. And because if anybody out there who's listening to this is anything like me, I don't write shit down. All right. I have it all in my head, but I don't write anything down. Thank God I have a business partner who loves to write SOPs and training documents where we can put all of that stuff down there. But I look at it is that's where that competitive advantage is really going to come in, because price, I know everybody's going to sit here and be like, oh, price is the most important factor. It's not. Maybe in the first 10 shipments with a new account, you could say price is pretty important. But after a while, your ability to execute and service them will always supersede anything you quote them. Now, no, that does not mean you can make $1,000 extra a load, but they can justify the additional money that they're paying you because of the operational excellence that you can deliver to their customers. And that's one of those things where I feel like this is where AI is really going to help button up a lot of people's organizations. And that's going to be a complete competitive advantage out there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And you just mentioned something that goes back to the clean data. In our industry, there are thousands of people just like you. You have so much knowledge, tribal knowledge in your head that doesn't go down on a piece of paper that I can't feed your brain into AI.
Yep.
And so there has to be that SOP. There has to be, what does this shipper want? What does this shipper need? What does this carrier want? What does this carrier need before AI can do anything with it?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And so, like, Danielle, what are some of these things that you've seen companies apply early on where you kind of call it like an aha moment where like, hey, this is doing what I did not think it was going to be able to do when we first started out?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the load building, because I was even skeptical of what we could do with it at Revenova and Artemis, being able to take an email that is, and I've done the like craziest combinations through emails and testing and demoing Artemis, but just being able to take an email from the customer, not in the way that we would tell a TMS how to build it, just, hey, I need 4 loads going from point A to point B. Here's the appointment times, or maybe not appointment times. Yeah. Here's what we're shipping. Here's when we need it to be picked up and get it there. And Artemis takes that in that natural language and processes it into a load in the TMS without anyone having to touch it, except the shipper, of course, that's sending it in. But that in itself, one load going from 30 seconds or more to build it, from coming straight into my inbox, straight to Artemis, and it just being done, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. No,
and it's such a change in behavior too. You're talking about bringing in or getting all of this done and then beginning to scale and bring it in. Whereas we do have, as you know, established brokerages that are huge, hundreds of people. And now they're bringing in the AI, and it is a change of behavior. It is, everyone with change of behavior, they don't always trust what's coming or the new technologies. So just being able to show them and tell them, hey, here's what this can do for you, please use it. That's, change of behavior is huge, but the load building.
Yeah, I personally think, I mean, that's my favorite feature that we have right now inside, because like obviously we use Revenova inside of our brokerage, and that's my favorite. It's just like the load cloning feature that's in there. Like to me, it saves us, like, I don't want to say hours, but like it's throughout the week, it saves us hours in productivity because, you know, I think that there's also this false sense out there in social media land that like every shipper's EDI and they're automated and they're just like, I have customers out there where, I mean, and these are like very large companies that still operate off of email for everything, right? They will not go to anything other than that. So it's like for me, when we're going out there and getting that customer and just saving any second operationally is going to help expedite your operations. But I look at it here as, you know, from my perspective, that change in behavior. I think that what you brought up there, Danielle, I think that's going to cause a lot of bottlenecks because of individuals like myself who've been doing this for 15 plus years, where it's like, oh, we've always done it this way. We don't need to write anything down. We don't need this piece of technology. I got my Google document and I got my Excel spreadsheet, and I'm putting my hand up, guys, because I'm guilty of this. All right. I'm guilty of all of this. And I've talked to a lot of guys who are further down the road than I am, who founded companies, and they've all, and I talked to them because I'm always like, how do I get better? I don't need to be right. My way doesn't need to be the way. How do I get better? And I always ask these individuals, I'm like, hey, when you were back where I am right now, what would you do differently? How could you do, like, what steps would you apply in your business that could help save you a couple of years? And they all go back to automation of some form. And it's like, you have to streamline that. And then again, back with AI and like even like CRMs and stuff like that, Danielle, I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine last week, and he was telling me, he's like, Chris, you are too busy in your day wearing multiple hats where you're not able to use a CRM. He's like, you have to use a CRM. You have to stay dialed in. It's going to keep you more on top of your stuff. He's like, it's great that you got here, but he's like, I'm telling you, this is going to save you 2 years of progress if you implement this right now. So it's like, these are those little things that I think is so important out there. And that's like one of the main, like one of the big drivers of me doing this show every day is it's like, I am the use case for what I talk about on here, right? Like I'm building my company. I am using these forms of technology to do it. And I think like it is just those little tweaks, right? Like I don't think that there's any change that most organizations need to make that's a complete overhaul. I think it's a couple of degree change in trajectory, and then that's going to get them down that path.
Yeah. Last week, actually it was over the weekend, one of our prospects, huge operation. I'm on the sales team now. I'm not like post-sales customer support service anymore. But one of our prospects, I was building out the smallest automation and change for them that is going to save them hours every single week. And it is at the end of their prospecting with new customers. They have to send their finance team like a request credit They just need the finance team to check the credit, say that they're good to go so they can haul that first load. And today they're doing it by email. They're typing out, I need to request credit for ABC company. And in Revenova, and because we're built on the Salesforce platform, we have those like point and click automation tools where I just built a button that says when this sales activity status changes to like 1 or pending, I put in a new one that's check credit. And as soon as they click that, it sends that email for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't have to go back to email, pull all the information from the CRM. And with the CRM embedded in the TMS, which is what we have with Revenova, I don't have to update that in 2 places.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas today, and with a lot of TMSs, you have your CRM, you have your TMS. My hands are going out of the screen. You have your CRM and you have your TMS, and those 2 things aren't talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So once I'm finished with the sales cycle and I could consider that prospect as one, and now they're going to be a customer, then I have to move all of that information over to the TMS. And a lot of that information will never make it. And so even then, one person, I'm missing so much information from the 2. And with Revenova, we have it all in one. So as soon as my prospecting stage is finished and now I have a customer, I still have all of the information, all of the conversations that we had, all of the back and forth emails. My credit request is going into the same spot. Hopefully credit approval is there too. And then I can just start running loads or hauling their freight.
I'm hearing a lot of what you're saying there, Danielle. This is just kind of coming to top of mind. How much redundancies have you guys uncovered in people's organizations that it's like, because I feel like there's, from my seat, we get so ingrained in our day-to-day and our internal systems that, again, back to one of your earlier points, you don't think about any other way because this way's working for you. And when you're in that mentality, and I'm guilty of that, you don't look for a more efficient way that comes along with it. So is redundancies a very glaring thing when you guys are going through, like when you're talking about integration and implementation of this inside of your guys' customers' organizations?
Oh my goodness, yeah. And it's typically the information is just being entered in 2 places. I call it Excel TMS.
Yeah.
Before I moved to the sales team and I'm in on the prospecting calls now, I had no idea how many shippers, brokers, carriers are operating off of Excel. Mm-hmm. And it's working for them and they do their job very well. But we can make it so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But entering it blows my mind having to enter something in a CRM and then in a TMS, and then you have an Excel, and then you also have emails going back and forth. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I look at it too, where, again, I'm sure everybody you talk to, and I know everybody I talk to, they're like, oh, we want to grow. We're excessive growth, like we want to go and go and go. And I'm like, but what are you doing operationally that's holding up your sales efforts, right? Like I had just said at the beginning of this episode, that's one bottleneck that we are currently going through, where it's like, hey, it's great, we're growing, right? Like we're moving freight, all of that's increasing, but then our outreach starts to suffer. And I look at just like, simple math, right? Like I went to public school. I always like to throw that out there. Like imagine you're able to make an additional 1,000 cold calls in a year or 1,000 sales calls in a year. Now multiply that across a sales team of like 10, 20, 30 people. What is that conversion that can come along with it? And then what new business can you uncover? And those are those things that I love the most about where technology is right now is again, I want to see how much can I do in a day? How much more efficient can I get? How much better can I service my customers? Because operating in reality like I do, it is extremely competitive to build any business across any industry, let alone in one that is transportation right now, where the market has been kind of drudging along the bottom there for as long as it has. But like, you got to look at ways, how do you just differentiate yourself? How can you make a little bit more effort? And that's what I'm most excited about with tech and where things are right now. And, from your seat, I love that you have came out and said that you're a skeptic about all of this stuff at first. What are you seeing now, Danielle, that you're the most excited about with AI inside of freight?
The most excited about? Everything going through my head is what I'm not excited about. Which makes sense. And so all the things that I'm not excited about are those things that take out the human element in the relationship with freight. Mm-hmm. And so everything that doesn't do that makes me very excited. I know we've talked about load building 50 times in the past 27 minutes, but load building, automating your check calls, automating a credit request going out instead of spending time doing that. Anything that can take that tedious manual work off your plate so you can answer the call, you can make those cold calls and create or form a new relationship. That is what I'm excited about. Taking things off of the plate of the broker or the sales rep, the customer like tracking agent, carrier tracking agent, anything off of their plate where they're not just sitting there typing all day, where they can get on the phone, talk to the carrier, talk to the shipper. I think anything that does that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, for me personally, it's to be able to, I think this is going to level the playing field with a lot of small businesses. They're going to be able to pack a lot larger punch out there in the market and operate like a $300-500 million organization with a shoestring staff. And that is what I'm the most excited about, because I think that, like I'm living the American dream from my perspective. And with technology, it's going to help me expedite that and then really level that playing field where it's like, now, you know what? We don't need to do the old school, hire 50 people and hope to work out. We're going to be able to hire the right 2 people right away and match them with the right technology so we can go out there and move more freight. And that's all I like to do at the end of the day. I just like freight and going out there and like, how can we increase this stuff? So Danielle, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today. How does anybody reach out to you to find out more about what you got going on?
Yeah, my email address, dchaffin@revenova.com. I'm on LinkedIn and all of the other social medias. My handle is maybe Danielle with 3 E's at the end.
Perfect. Danielle, thank you so much for your time today. If you guys can't find Danielle or Revenova out there, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in contact with them. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. And for feeling ambitious after this one, rank the show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you saw value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything.